Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are jumping headfirst into a really dense, symbolic story about the city of Naples, a city that's literally caught between a wild, ecstatic celebration of life and, well, absolute nothingness.
Okay, so to really get this, you have to understand that Naples isn't just one city. It's two completely different realities existing in this super tense balance. On one hand, you've got this insane, frantic carnival on the surface, a massive yes to life. But on the other hand, anchoring it all down is this deep, stagnant stillness, symbolized by clotted blood and something called the glass coffin. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with those two clashing realities. Then we'll look at the carnival itself, the creepy threat that emerges, the looming volcano, and finally, how it all comes crashing together in a massive, world-changing finale.
First up, let's really lock in this core conflict. Because seriously, this opposition between life and stillness, it's the engine that drives the entire story.
You know, this isn't just some cool backdrop for the narrative. It is the central problem that has to be solved. The city is both unbelievably alive and totally, fundamentally stuck. And that's a contradiction that just can't last forever. Something's got to give, right?
So let's dive into that first side of the coin. This is what the story calls the thesis, that wild, ecstatic yes to life in the face of everything, the carnival. Okay, try to picture this. The streets are a packed, living labyrinth of celebration. And everyone, I mean everyone, is wearing a skull mask. And moving through this chaos is this mysterious figure named Der Wille, which means the will. He's called the Red Architect, and he's not just a party planner. He's orchestrating this profound spiritual melting of the entire crowd.
So, about those skulls, you'd think they're all about death, right? Nope. It's the complete opposite. They're a symbol of radical life. Wearing the skull is this massive act of defiance, a collective no to what the story calls the Iron Heaven, which you can think of as this rigid, soul-crushing bureaucracy that wants to stamp out all life. But while all of this incredible energy is erupting in the streets, if you go to the city's spiritual heart, the cathedral, you find the exact opposite. The famous miracle? It's not happening. The blood doesn't liquefy. It's just stuck. A dry, black, dead clot. And this isn't just some old, forgotten relic. The story calls it a telemetric anchor. It's like it's broadcasting a signal of stillness, of nothingness, across the entire city. It's actively enforcing this null protocol, basically putting the whole place into a metaphysical deep freeze. Which leads to this incredible phrase, the glass coffin of Sinos. It just nails it, doesn't it? The city is alive, it's dancing, but it's trapped. It's a party inside an invisible coffin. Okay, so now a new player enters the game, an external threat. This is our antithesis to the carnival's energy, a creeping, purpose-draining mist. And the antagonist here isn't your typical monster. It's a force called Atman Null. And it doesn't eat people, it eats telos. That's the Greek word for purpose. Yeah, this thing literally feeds on meaning itself. And its attack is just slow and methodical. First, this thick, gray mist just rolls in from everywhere. Then, the revelers just stop dancing. The energy dies, their masks, those symbols of defiance just fall to the ground. The whole carnival just succumbs to that same dead silence of the clotted blood. So, with the city's very soul being drained away, we have to turn to the only power big enough to intervene. That massive volcano looming over everything, Mount Vesuvius.
Now, here's the thing. In this story, Vesuvius isn't just a mountain. It's what philosophers call the noumenon, the thing's true underlying reality. And the hidden truth of this volcano is something called active nihilism, which doesn't just mean believing in nothing. It's an active, powerful force that seeks to tear down the old, stagnant world to make room for something new.
Right at the peak of the crater, we find a mythological figure, Donner. And yeah, you should be thinking of Thor. He's at a forge striking the volcanic stone with his hammer, Mjolnir. But these aren't random hits. Each strike is perfectly synchronized with the heartbeat of the city below. He's the thermal catalyst, the one who's going to kick this whole thing off.
So this is absolutely crucial. This destructive force isn't framed as evil. It's positioned as a necessary cleansing fire, the only thing powerful enough to burn away the bureaucratic control of that Iron Heaven. And this brings us to the climax. This is the moment where all three of these massive forces, the defiant carnival, the apathetic mist, and the roaring volcano, finally collide. The way this whole thing resolves is a classic dialectic. You have your thesis, the carnival affirming life. It's challenged by its opposite, the antithesis, the mist consuming all purpose. And when they clash, you get something totally new, a synthesis. Here, the thesis of life versus the antithesis of void results in a dramatic, violent act of destructive creation.
And so a conscious and frankly terrible choice is made. Der Wille, the architect of the carnival, realizes that the only way to save the city's spirit from being eaten by apathy is to let the city itself face the fire. He has to trigger the shockwave.
So he does it. He takes this thing called the dialectic scythe, draws a line in the volcanic ash, and gives the signal to Donar up on the mountain. It's time.
And Vesuvius erupts. But get this, it's not lava and rock, it's a blast of pure violet gamma radiation, which is described as the heat of the idea. This confirms it's not just a physical event, it's a metaphysical one, an explosion of pure concept.
As the city is simultaneously destroyed and elevated, a figure called the Baron stands right in the center of it all. He refuses the glass coffin, embraces this insane cycle of destruction and rebirth, and shouts this final command, Da capo, once more.
And that's where we're left, with this really provocative final question. Does the story suggest that to truly create something new, to escape stagnation, you first have to be willing to embrace total annihilation? It's a powerful and pretty unsettling thought about the link between destruction and becoming.